these are my ramps that I got from Harbor Freight for my pickup. Originally bought them so I could load my four-wheeler in the back of my truck, but I haven't used them for that yet. But they are handy. I've used them a few times, unloading my toolbox and my case 220 and a couple other things. But anyway, so these are Hall Master 84-inch steel ramps, about 10 inches wide. Pretty much any ramps you get nowadays, they seem really flimsy, and they always, you know, have a rating on them. Like these are 500 pounds each, so between the two they're supposed to support 1,000 pounds. But these are really just kind of cheaply stamped and, you know, bent flat pieces of steel or whatever, so they're surprisingly, like, they don't seem like they would support as much weight as they say. I knew right away that I wanted to modify whatever ramps I ended up buying, so I got straight ramps instead of folding ones, and then I got steel instead of aluminum because I knew I was going to use square tubing to strengthen them. And I probably don't have to. I'm just extremely paranoid. I mean, like, if you drive 4 or 5 hours somewhere to like pick up a riding mower or a four-wheeler or something, and your ramps like broke or bent in half or whatever, you know, I'd rather reinforce it now and then not ever have to worry about it. When I went to my steel guy to get this 1/4-inch plate for my little portable workbench here, at the same time I also got 5 10-foot sections of 3/4-inch square tubing, and I believe they're 14 gauge. I kind of wanted to get thicker ones, but I don't think they had anything that was thicker and 3/4 inch. It's kind of a weird size square tubing to have like 1/4 inch or whatever. You'd barely have any room on the inside. It'd almost practically be like a solid piece of square steel. But anyway, it's better than nothing. So I'm actually gonna cut 4 long pieces and just stick them on the inside here. That's why I wanted 3/4 inch instead of inch, because there's not a lot of room here between these little circular deals. So I'm going to stick them up along the side here all the way down, and I'm going to weld them in there. That's why I wanted steel ramps instead of aluminum. I don't have any way to weld aluminum, and I didn't want to buy aluminum square tubing anyway. So, and then that's why I bought these as solid straight ramps instead of folding ones. And then I got extra square tubing because I haven't measured yet, but every, I don't know, maybe a couple feet or something, I'm gonna cut a little piece and I'm gonna put it right in the center here. 3/4 inch should fit right between these little grooves, and I'm gonna have those just be kind of cross supports, which it's not really needed, but the more the better, right? After I do all this, I wouldn't have any problem trusting them not to break on me. In fact, I think the worst part of these ramps, other than the fact that they're thin, this is the worst part right here, is this piece of metal that bolts up underneath, and this is the metal that actually sits on your, you know, your trailer or the back of your truck or your tailgate, whatever. Even if you strengthen these things, this is still a part that could potentially bend, you know, if you had too much weight on it. You know, and if you take your four-wheelers, don't weigh much anyway, but if you took your four-wheeler and drove it up fast, up the ramps into the back of your truck, you wouldn't be on the ramps that long. But when I unloaded this case 220, I actually used a manual winch. It was a like 4,000 pound come along, and I lowered it really slow, and I had to like keep resetting the winch and everything, so it ended up being on the ramps for like a couple of minutes. But I don't know what this case weighs, but that's kind of a long time to have weight right in the middle of this ramp, you know. So that's why I'm supporting them, because if I use a winch to load something, kind of regardless of what it is, and it takes some time to go up the ramps, I want it sturdy enough that it's not going to bend in half when something's halfway on this ramp. But I'm going to take some measurements, and then I'm going to start marking out the square tubing, and I'm going to get it cut, and then I'll be welding it. There's one. I'm cutting 4 of these at 84. I have kind of an idea, and 84 just works really well, so. So I'm using my 20 volt Bauer grinder with a cutting disc on it. And you know, these don't spin as fast or have as much power as the corded ones. But it's funny because some days it takes forever to get through anything with this, but I actually have one of my expensive cutting wheels on here, and it's amazing how much faster this thing cuts through it like butter. You know, so your cutting disc makes a huge difference. If you're on cheapies from Harbor Freight or something, it's going to take forever. Must have wiped off my mark. Can't find it. Gotta cut one more, and then I gotta measure all the cross bracing, cut all those out, to get everything cut, and then I'll get things lined up and we can weld. So my permanent marker line keeps disappearing on me. There, and there, all at 8 inches. I gotta stop using black Sharpie and start using like paint markers or chalk. Shake, exhaust, push, exhaust. Oh, the heat. What the? Okay, let's try chalk, since that paint marker wouldn't work. See that a little better, huh? That's funny. When I was in welding school, this is what they made us use. I guess I should have listened to them and kept doing that. All right, that's better. I apologize for the poor lighting. So I just cut all these pieces at 8 inches. Some of these might be a little shorter than others, so I kind of have to fill the space with weld, which not a big deal. I guess when I measured this out, I thought one of these for the top and bottom and 3 in between. So technically you divide it into 4 pieces if you want to do 3 in between, not counting the top and bottom. So, you know, every 20 inches one, 40 inches a second one, 60 inches a third one, and then basically down to 84, give or take. I mean, approximately 20 inches in between all these. So technically I only need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these 8-foot sections for each ramp. So that's 10, and I cut 12, so I'm gonna have 2 of these left over. If I really wanted to, I could incorporate the other 2 in somehow, but honestly, I'm not that worried about the side to side stuff. I'm just worried about the long distance, and that's what these long ones are for. So I guess, I don't know, I guess the center ones are just like a bonus. They're not really that important. I'll figure it out. But now I gotta, these are all pretty, sorry, I have no light in here. These are all pretty sharp, pretty dangerous. So I'm gonna hit all these with the grinder. And another thing too that you may not know, is that there's actually a film on here. It's incredibly dirty. It turns stuff black. There's like a greasy oil on these, and I think they do that to prevent these from rusting or something. But you need to clean that up when you weld. I think especially with flux core welding, you want to clean that up. That way you have better welds. Like, look at the difference. There's a big difference there. So when you're welding this type of steel together, you need to grind it on both pieces that you're welding, and you'll have a way better weld, and it'll be cleaner. You won't be burning all that that oily film on there, so you'll have less smoke. So, yep, gotta grind all these, all 12 of them. All right, so I just got done grinding all these. So I got 12 of these. Yeah, that's a lot more work than it seems. So those are ready to go. And then these are the little pieces that were left over. I even ground those down too. That way if I happen to be handling them, I guess they still have crap on them anyway. Really sucks getting a little metal shard stuck in your finger. I don't realize sometimes, I like to do this, I hold the grinder still, and then I kind of like barely move, but I forget how close this is to my sweatshirt, and that's dangerous. I'm kind of dangerous sometimes. Have to offer some sort of strength. I know they're bendy, but it's gotta be better than nothing. Each one of these black lines on here is where a cross member is going to go. Pretty much just every 16 inches. So I just ground down all these. You probably can't even see it. I have terrible lighting in here. Can kind of see that. I just ground down everywhere a cross member is gonna get welded. And the ends too. So I did all 4 of these long pieces, and then I'll actually be tacking the square tubing into the ramp. So I might have to do some more grinding wherever. I mean, I don't have to, but I probably should. I do have 1 piece left, so at least I had enough, I guess. So I can't complain. I have 12 8-inch sections here, and then I have that left over still. So I had 4 of these left over after I cut the 4 84-inch ones, and these 12 8-inch right here are 3 of those. So still have a bunch left, which is cool. I can always use square tubing, but I was kind of hoping to get it out of my way. That's why I kind of started on this project, as I was tired of tripping over this square tubing on the floor. So I'll have to find a place to put that. I guess up in the rafters is fine. I'm super picky about having stuff on the floor. Like, these 2x4s are bothering me, being up against the wall. So I need to get going on my project with those. And then I hated that square tubing on the floor. So even though I made a really cool welding bench that is extremely heavy and very durable and expensive, I don't want that one here. Right now I have it stored out where all my equipment is. And that's a super heavy duty one. So it's just more than what I need in here with my flux core welder. But this is kind of like my little welding bench, even though that's not what it was intended for. I got this central machinery universal tool stand that didn't come with anything on top, so you had nothing to mount your tools to. So I just figured if I used a 1/4-inch steel plate, then I could drill all the holes in it that I want without having structural integrity issues. And then the weight would help keep this thing from vibrating away when you're using it. But then I accidentally realized I'd made kind of a little welding bench, which is cool. But now that I have my vise on here, I can't lay, like my square tubing, I can't lay that across this. So I wouldn't mind either making another one that's not very big, or maybe just getting another one of these universal tool stands. I don't know. Titanium, I think, makes a really cool little stand that I didn't even know Harbor Freight had. And I really want one, but they're like $180 or something. Oh man. Dang. I was really hoping this would go out far enough that I could lay one of those ramps across this. Dang, that sucks. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to weld it on the ground. Unless I go pick up some of those cheap Harbor Freight rollers that I kind of want anyways for my miter saw. Couldn't help it. I had to go to Harbor Freight and get some of these Bauer adjustable roller stands. It's something I should have bought years ago, especially for my miter saw. My idea here is that I can set these up on each side of this stand and adjust them, and then I can lay my ramps across the rollers, across the top of this part of the vise, and then onto the second roller. It'll support the ramp and I can weld up in the air, because I'm at a point in my life where I am so tired of welding on the ground. And just a quick FYI, I knew a dude who was welding on the ground and he accidentally kneeled down on a piece of hot metal, and it burned him and infected his leg, and his leg had to get amputated. So that's why I don't like doing that anymore. So I'm going to get these things unboxed and put together. I'm not trying to make this video any longer than it should be. I know a lot of my videos get carried away and they're incredibly long, but there's more to things than you think. I try to do things, or I try to spend money and then tell people like what good it did me by spending money, because buying things that help you accomplish tasks or get work done or whatever, it's always a good investment. So I like to record this stuff, that way I can spend the money and you can take what I say and decide for yourself what you think about whatever it is I'm buying, if that makes any sense. I'll just do one and then I'll do the other one off camera. So here's a doohickey. Here's the adjustable part of the doohickey. Beautiful Bauer paint job. Look at that. That's amazing. That's nice. Got the roller. I love Bauer. I guess the first thing I should have said is that these were $22.99 a piece. So I don't know, like 46 bucks for two of them. Pretty good deal. I waited my whole life to get a set of these. I'm an idiot. That's for $46. This whole time I could have had 2 roller stands. Oh, that's how that works. Wow, that's interesting. I've never seen a piece of hardware like that. I gotta go find an Allen for that. Looks like a 4.5 mil. I apologize if you can't see this very good, but this thing is called a barrel nut. I've never heard of that before. Has some little grooves in here. Stick that through, and then I guess it's kind of hard to do with the camera right here, but you stick this thingy on there. There we go. And I already got my thing ready. And it's starting. And that just pulls these pieces together, and then the grooves set in that square tubing. Cool, huh? This is the wrong size. Scratch the 4.5 millimeter thing. Huh. It is 5 mil. That's good and tight. Okay. Now same thing on this side. Switch this if I'm wrong, but same thing. Only this one has to have that little adjustable doohickey on it. You know, I actually have sockets that could be doing this instead of T-handles, but I like to buy nice tools and then not use them and then do it the hard way because I'm special like that. There we go. Okay. We've got the extendable arm that you can't see right now. They gave me hardware for that. Oh wow, they even gave me an Allen. Let me guess, this is a 5 mil. Yep. Funny. These actually have nuts on them, so I hope you can see. I'm probably just blocking the camera so you can't see what I'm doing. We can put this in now, actually. It doesn't really matter what order it's in. This is just the doohickey that tightens this doohickey down. So now I need either a socket, a wrench, or a crescent wrench. 10mm. Oh, here's my new Pittsburgh 1/4" drive. First time ever using this. So right now I'm using a 5mm Allen and a 10mm socket. So if you buy these same rollers, that's what I'm working with here. It's good and tight. Don't want this being sloppy. Okay. Check the directions, see if I missed anything. Okay. Here's the stand. This is the doohickey that you use to adjust this, and it goes up pretty high. Really high, actually. Tighten that down. And then this right here, if you can see that, this knob is used for leveling this out. So this concrete in here is terrible anyway. Anyway, I have no idea if that's really going to do anything, but it's there, I guess. And it's even worse. What the heck are these things on the side? I don't have those. Oh, look at that. Cool. Guides, I guess, to help your crap from falling off. And then if it's too wide, you just put these down. How cool is that? Way to outdo yourselves, Bauer. Alright, here's the second one. The first one I actually did wrong. So I got to switch this one around. I thought something was wrong with it. Unbelievable. These got to be tight on this one since I elongated the holes. So now it's out of spec. All right, now that my blood pressure is high, I am going to put these rollers where they need to be and get them all adjusted so I can weld. All right, here's my setup. This is exactly what I wanted to do. It's not level. Anyway, doesn't matter. Might be able to just leave these little ears up. It's kind of funny. I used a 2x4 to kind of get it balanced a little bit. A lot lighter than trying to do something heavy. Since it's touching that vise, it's not like rolling around on me because it's making contact with that vise. That was my plan the whole time. This is great. Got my tubing right here, so now I can stand up and weld. That's easily worth the $46 in painful installation. Am I good or what? I need to get better lighting in here, but got all the square tubing in. So I got my two 84-inch pieces and then my 6 8-inch pieces. And like I said, some of them are gonna have some gnarly gaps in them. That's totally my bad. That one's pretty good. That one right there is excellent. See, that's why I said in another video that I wanted my welder up in the air a couple feet, because you can get your MIG gun a lot farther away. If that were on the ground like I'd always done it, then you have to rise up and out. So that hypotenuse kind of screws you up a little bit. But anyway, I love this cart. This is a great cart. Look how far I can. It's pretty good distance. I don't use extension cords when I weld, so I gotta be close to that outlet. Anyway, let's get welding. I'm just taking my first break here. I've been welding for a while. Been jumping around a lot because this square tubing and these ramps being so thin, I burn through really easy. My puddles just get really hot and then it just kind of starts melting everything. So I kind of bounce around, let one area cool down, move to another. I got some pretty decent welds holding the square tubing in. My welder started acting kind of funny, and I ran out of wire, which is crazy because not long ago I put a new 2-pound spool in. So I didn't stop the time lapse, I just changed it and kept going. But this is the new Vulcan flux core wire 030 that I got from Harbor Freight, and this is the first time I've ever tried any wire that wasn't from Arccaptain, so I kind of feel like a cheater right now. I'm gonna open a door and clear some smoke out and keep going. Well, now it's the second day on welding the square tubing into my ramps. I got it heated up a little bit, and then I got to move my diesel heater. I move this heater kind of out of the way, and then I stick this piece of tin. I kind of lean it up against the heater like that, so then when I'm welding I don't have, not that something couldn't fly over this anyways, but there's a couple gallons of diesel in there. And then this thing here is propane tanks are closed off, so like sparks and stuff isn't a big deal for that. I'll leave this on just to try to maintain temperature in here and not really bring it up. Okay, so I made a really stupid mistake while I was welding this, and I have really no idea how it happened. This square tubing on this side, the long piece, at some point it bowed and it went up off of the ramp. And I welded it in that way, apparently. So I don't know if just the darkness in my welding helmet caused it or what. This piece of square tubing is nice and flush against the ramp, so kind of sucks. I gotta at least cut everything in the middle here. So I have 4 cross members I gotta cut, and then I gotta cut the weld against the side of the ramp, and then I gotta use some clamps, and I gotta force the square tubing down because that's gonna drive me nuts. It's not even a big deal. I don't know why I'm making a big deal about it. It's not gonna be any stronger with that square tubing flush against the ramp, but I wanna do that anyways. Okay, I don't know if you can see this very well, but that one might need some more. It's moving now. It's starting to, I can feel it breaking. It was actually under some tension. So as I was grinding it, it was kind of moving. Alright, this is way better. I had to cut all those welds off the cross members and the ones against the side of the ramp. And it was under tension, so I could actually feel it moving. You can actually see how much it moved. That was stupid. That was a major oversight on my part, not paying attention, or like I always say 1,000 times, I have terrible lighting in here, which is stupid because I have a couple of these light bars up in the rafters there. I just need to hook them up. So I have an outlet right there. I should really just do that and quit complaining about the light. Obviously I'm going to put new weld down, and I'm going to make sure that that thing ain't going to move before welding the cross members in. Well, I accidentally screwed up my hose. It got really hot down here where I was welding, and then I didn't realize the hose was melting on there. So it still works, it just looks really ugly and it stinks really bad right now. But yeah, I've just been going through changing spots a lot because it just gets too hot in one place and then melts through, so I got to move around a lot. But I'm starting to get a lot of really good structural welds down. That one's really rough right there, but so I'm gonna take this off, set it against the wall, and I'm gonna grab the other ramp here, get started on that, and then give this one time to really cool down, and then I'll go back over all my welds that need work. Okay, well, I was tired of complaining about my poor lighting here, so I took the remaining shop lights that I had and crudely wired them up. I used some old chain to hang them, and then I zip tied all the cords together, and it's kind of goofy, but it makes it a lot brighter in here, and this one ain't even on. That's way better now. Now you can actually see the square tubing and whatever you're working on. So I just hope that all the extra power that these lights draw doesn't cause issues with my diesel heater or my welder. So I guess we'll see. Anyway, I'm gonna resume welding. So this is going way smoother than the other ramp was. At least this time I actually use clamps like I'm supposed to. That way this thing doesn't bow on me and I weld it into place crooked. But I use 3 clamps to hold it down, and then 1 to pull it to the side because for some reason it wasn't staying right there. But got a whole bunch of tacks in, pretty decent little welds for the Arccaptain. So I'll keep at it. This thing is just insanely hot, so I'm gonna set it off to the side and start working back on the other ramp since that one's cool. Oh yeah, this is hot. Whoa. Yeah, and I didn't realize all the burn through I had. How looking at it now, holy smokes. I need to be better about not burning my rollers too. Kinda sucks. turn that thing off so you can hear me, but it's a new day. Today's probably going to be the last day I'm going to work on these ramps. I have a little bit of welding to do yet, but for the most part I think they're looking pretty good. Even though these ramps are going to be the other way and you're not going to see underneath, I'm still going to take a grinder and go through, clean up some of the welds. Not to mention there's some stuff that might cut your fingers if you're trying to handle this ramp without gloves, so I want to clean it up a little bit. And then obviously everywhere there's burn through, I'm going to hit that with my grinder as well. Make it look a little bit better, but I am more than happy with my new titanium flux core welder. So I'm going to throw a little bit more weld down and then grind these up, clean them up, and then I will be done with the ramp project. Alrighty, well, I'm pretty much done with the ramps. They're not the prettiest things I've ever seen, but I'm pretty happy with most of my welds. I did a little bit of grinding just so then, you know, if I'm grabbing these ramps, I didn't want to have anything sharp on the underside of it, so I ground down what I could in there along the sides, and it's not bad. So you don't really see you're not going to see the bottom side anyways. Even though I had some kind of ugly burn through on here, it'll be fine. But they're a lot more sturdy than they were, I'll tell you that. So I won't have to worry about them having any issues if I travel somewhere to pick something up. I'm actually kind of curious now. Maybe when I get some time, I can try to drive something really heavy on these and see what they do, just out of curiosity. So I'm about 140 bucks in on these ramps, 100 for the ramps, and I think 40, give or take, for the square tubing. I can't even remember now what the square tubing costs, but so it's not terrible. In fact, I think the next problem now is the top thing right here, because that's just a thin piece of sheet metal. So that's the next weak link. If you get way too much weight on these ramps now, these could probably bend and fail. So if that fails, you're screwed anyways, because the ramp's not gonna, it's just gonna fall. So, but I'll see what happens. I don't know. I guess if I have to fabricate something for those two, maybe I can do that. It's not like I can't ever weld on this again and redo some stuff. So, but I spent entirely way too much time on that. I got kind of a mess to clean up, and I got other projects to do. Really sucked halfway through having to switch welders, and I still don't have my new titanium kind of, you know, tuned in the way I want it just yet, but I'll get there. It's a good welder. Really glad in this video I got these new Bauer rollers. I should have bought these long time ago. Unfortunately, oh, I guess that's just flux crap or whatever that is, that white powder. Never mind. I thought maybe I'd welded on these rollers, but apparently not. Cool. I love these rollers. For 23 bucks a piece, can't beat that. I should have bought these 15 years ago because I've always wanted some for my miter saw. But I'm a procrastinator and do stupid things like this. 46 bucks. Dumb. In fact, I even thought about getting more. I don't know. Just in case you have something really long that you need supported with rollers. You know, you can't beat that, 23 bucks. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. I'll have a kind of a future update here on these ramps when I can. We're about to get into some really frigid temperatures, so that'll be a later thing. But thanks for watching this video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe.